Good morning, good morning, good morning, guys. Welcome to Island T right here on Win Media SKN. It's a pleasure to be here with you this Monday, December 19th, guys. December is smoothly passing by as we lead up to, the actual Christmas day. We just right now in Christmas week. So yeah, guys, I hope all your preparations are coming along nicely. But you're here with me, Azem, and usually I'm joined by my co-host, Jade Edita CPL Martha Stewart Johnson. But she, unfortunately, won't be in this morning. But you guys have me. Yeah, I apologize to those who have an issue with that. But I know, just like I appreciate you guys joining me this morning, I know a lot of you out there appreciate what it is that we do here. And yeah, looking forward to just having some conversation today. Hopefully we have a few, well, at least one set of guests coming in this morning. And yeah, we could talk. You guys could call in and share thoughts, views, opinions, concerns with me. And yeah, we have a great show this morning. So I'm hoping everyone had a peaceful weekend, if that's what you were going for. If you were looking for more excitement, hopefully you had that as well. There was a lot that kind of happened since we last spoke, and yeah, there's a few things that we should probably talk about this morning. I'm hoping you guys could let me know your thoughts about some of them, but it would be remiss of me not to congratulate the Island Flavors EBJ Harmonics Steel Orchestra for winning this year's Panorama contest, which is the National Carnival's annual steelpan competition, and that happened on Friday night. It was interesting. It was an interesting event, and also shout out to our friends in Nevis, the Young Vibrations Steel Orchestra. They came in second, right? But I think that show really, really gave us a lot to look. First, it was very entertaining. That's the first thing. I told the EBJ Harmonics after the show, I said, y'all gotta be careful, because yeah, you guys know three-peat, and of course, congratulations to them again on that. You guys three-peat, but trust me, these guys nipping at your heels. It was not a show where you could say there was any steel orchestra that was, really below par. There was all of the steel bands, I think, did very, very well. And there was some, just like any good show, there was some plot twist. There was some drama. There was some emotional moments. There was some hopeful moments. And it's still online for those of you who did not get to watch it. You could go to the Carnival page. I know it was also being shown on ZIZ, so if you haven't seen it, hopefully you get a chance to experience it. We had some groups that had children as young as 8 as part of the group. We had some groups that were really dedicating their performances to members who would have passed away in the last year, and in very tragic ways. So that also added a different dimension to the event. But at the end of the night, the steel bands, I think the music is what won. The music was what won, and of course the patrons who came out, and it was well supported. There was a nice crowd there for the evening. And so, yeah, kudos to them. All the pan players. There was actually, out of the 7 groups, 4 were from Nevis. So there's something good happening in Nevis, because some of the youngest group was from Nevis. Most of the players were from Nevis as well. So that was definitely, something to note. But yeah, EBJ Harmonics once again they're doing an arrangement of King Short Shirts, Nobody Go Run Me. So yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. Drama, we had one group that had to replay, it was stuff all over the place. So yeah, guys, feel free to check that out. And when you see members of the EBJ Harmonics or any of the steel band players, please encourage them, give them big ups, because they really put on an amazing show. And I want to encourage people, if it wasn't there this year, trust me, next year, Panorama is the place. Panorama is supposed to be one of the biggest shows because it has one of the widest appeals, in my opinion. It don't matter what walk of life you're from, you enjoy steel pan music. It don't matter if you're 65 or 6. It don't matter if you're a heathen, a self-proclaimed heathen, or the holiest person in the world. If there's one thing you could do is enjoy some steel pan music. So hopefully next year there's even more support building on what it is. But yeah, man, that was definitely a plus. On the weekend as well, let's talk about this officially, because this was a thing. And there, people want to know what I am doing, so let's message that. Yeah. So I don't know about you guys, but yesterday, obviously, a lot of us spent our midday not having Sunday lunch, but feasting on what I believe was, in my opinion, one of the greatest football matches ever played. But I'll explain why I feel that way in a few moments, because as you might recognize now, I'm talking about the World Cup finals that took place yesterday, where Argentina won, the game. And it says Argentina defeated France 4-2 in a penalty shootout to win the World Cup for the 3rd time yesterday. Argentina captain Lionel Messi scored twice, and France striker Kylian Mbappe scored a hat-trick as a thrilling World Cup final finish 3-3 after extra time at the Lusail Stadium. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know how many of you listening to me right now are actual football fans. They watch football regularly, know what going on, know the players and that kind of thing. But it don't matter if you were a casual football fan or a football fanatic or someone who just watched the World Cup yesterday because that's the only thing that was on television. But it was, again, like I said, I think for me personally, it was probably one of the best football matches I've ever seen for a couple of reasons. The storylines that existed, right? You have Lionel Messi, who for some, needed this win and needed a good showing in the win to cement him as being the best player to ever walk the face of the earth. That was definite. So that was one of the storylines. They had his teammate Mbappe, who is a young, upcoming phenom who, in many's eyes, came onto the world stage in the last World Cup, being a part of the winning French team, scoring in that World Cup, and then here he is again in another 4 years later, back in a similar position. The fact that Argentina would have taken the lead 2-0 with Messi scoring one, it felt as though they had it in the bag. But here it is, not only France score, but the same star player for France, who, to be honest, was facing a lot of criticism on the lead up to the match. Like, scoring 2 goals in quick succession to equalize the game. So that's part of the storyline. But then even just the skill that was on display, we're talking about players at the height of football displaying their skills, tactics on full display, skill on full display, teamwork on full display. Like, it was really a good showing. Then you add to that the drama of extra time. Messi scoring, seemingly winning it for his country, only to have that thwarted by Mbappe, who come back and score a third goal to equalize before the end of regulation extra time. Thanks, Sylvia. I'm gonna try and fix it now. So it was so much happening. Gawain, I'm hearing you saying that you didn't like the fact that he went to penalty kicks. I used to say that as well, but the truth is, I'm pretty much come off of that mindset for quite some time. In my opinion, how could I put this? I think penalty kicks in itself can be very dramatic, especially after a good game. If there's a good game where it was competitive, back and forth, then yes. If it's that the game was boring and we didn't see any goals, we saw 6 goals in the game, and we saw the way in which the 6 goals came, and so with the battle being back and forth like that, penalty kicks, the drama of the penalty kicks, I think, adds another layer of excitement to the game. Whereas sometimes it could feel as though it's a consolation. It's like, hey, let's just see who win the game, because we couldn't, nobody could score, or we can't decide. So let's just do penalty kicks to figure it out. I think it's the way it was. I think the how should I put it? My personal response to the penalty kick situation depends a lot on the way the game is played. So yeah. As a matter of fact, people are saying the first half was poor, which I could understand that being the case with them conceding 2 goals. But I think what was happening was it was just a mismatch of tactics. I think there was a change in tactics in the second half, and perhaps not purposefully. I think what happened was you have 2-0. The thought of easing off the gas creeps in. Not necessarily less intensity or anything like that, but playing with a bit more caution, and I think that's where Argentina left the door open a bit. That's where you started seeing more France in the final third and blah 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 blah, and I think that was one of the factors that added to it. But for those of you who were watching the game, I saw people watching it whether it was in bars, at home. I see people watching it on their phone. It did seem like people really congregated around their televisions yesterday and their screens and took in the game. And that is one of the things that I mentioned, I think it was last week, in terms of the role of sports in society. I think sports plays such a huge part in the human story and development and society. I think without sports being an outlet for whatever it is that's inside us as humans to compete with one another, I think those competitions, whether it is on a local level where it's between brothers, family members, different villages, or on a wider level between nations, I think whatever it is that we have inside us to pit ourselves against one another, I think sports provides an outlet for that in a way that doesn't end in bloodshed and stealing of resources, and it allows for us as a species to really develop in a way that we probably otherwise would not have had we not had sports. So I really do appreciate the role that sports plays, and the feelings that it brings, and the way that it has a tendency to bring people together who otherwise would not be together. I mean, you see people crying from the smallest person to the people crying out before the game done. People all on the bench crying when goals score. It definitely was drama filled. This is being a game again that happens literally once every 4 years. That particular game, the World Cup final, is played only once every 4 years between two teams after a hard, long journey that really and truly takes 4 years to get to. So kudos to Argentina and all the supporters. I said it here that Argentina was one of my picks for the win, so of course I am in good spirits. I said that from the start of the World Cup, Argentina was one of my picks. I only had two. It was Brazil and Argentina. Dean wasn't really looking for another European winner. I wanted some change in history. It's been 20 years since a non-European team had won the World Cup. And I got my wish. Especially after Brazil was out pretty, not early. I thought they would have gone to at least one more level. Thought they would have gotten to the semi-final at least. And they were out in the round of 8, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, definitely a great way to spend your Sunday if you're a football fan, and if you weren't. But it was good to see people losing their mind, jumping up and down, almost falling out their chair, bawling, screaming. I could only imagine some of the reactions that people were having as the goals were going back and forth. Cause you know it is. It's passion. It's passion for the game, and the game was excited. So of course, you would hear the screaming back and forth from. I'm sure some of y'all maybe in your house trying to get a Sunday nap, and your neighbor over there going on to bed. Somebody check and see if the internet radio is up for me. I started it, so hopefully it's now streaming properly. Somebody let me know. But yeah, guys, there was a lot. Oh, and speaking of football, let me give you guys some good news that is based even a bit closer home. Right. Not on the stream, Witty. There's some people who morning Witty. There's some people who listen on some of the internet radio stations. I think that's what they were talking about. But in terms of what I was saying, good news as it relates to football. Here it says 11 St. Kitts Nevis match officials receive approval. It says history has been created as 11 football match officials from St. Kitts and Nevis can now officiate in FIFA-sanctioned matches. Okay. This is the largest confirmation of football officials from the small Twin Island nation. Head of the referees department of the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association, Malcolm Ramsey, highlighted the importance of this moment. It is a big deal, really a big deal, Ramsey said. This is one of the things that I can say I am really satisfied with. The only thing that can exceed this is when one of our match officials gets to the World Cup one of these days. And that is something I think is going to happen in the not too distant future. And the match officials are Kimball Ward, Trisley Basu, Trevester Alistair Richards, Shandor Wilkinson, Reginald Gums, Sanchez Bass, Swab, big up yourself, bye. Assistant referees are Grammy Brown, Mario Parry, Tyra Wilkinson, Lenroy Paris, and Jaden Rouse. So we actually really developing our football capacity here. Congratulations to the referees and the referee association for having 11. Like, that's a lot of referees to come from at one time, especially from a small island nation like ours. So congratulations to them, and hopefully we're looking on some of these big international matches, and we see some of our own, very own countrymen, refereeing. All right. So we have some match officials and we have some assistant referees. Yeah, it's definitely a plus. Definitely a plus. Oh, and speaking of referees, I don't know if you guys noticed that there was history made by an all-female on-field refereeing team for the World Cup. And that was, I think, the December 1st game, the Costa Rica and Germany game. It was an all-female on-field refereeing team that did that game. So there's a lot. And if you guys noticed, there was actually one female who was a part of the referees that were confirmed to be able to referee FIFA matches. So kudos to her especially. I'm looking forward to it. Let me see. Morning, Bunny. All right. So, yeah, guys, I'm actually going to take a short break and be right back in a few minutes. And stick and stay. It's Monday. Hopefully, you guys already had your tea. And if you need coffee, then you could have the coffee. Those of you who went, somebody tell me how the Chronic Law show went last night. I didn't go, but I know a lot of people were anticipating that. So somebody let me know how that show went. I guess that's if you could wake up at all. But for those of you listening, I'll be right back. And stick and stay for more LNT.
Triple that cash back. From now until December 31st, Hosford's Furniture and Appliances in Ashley Furniture Home Store is going to triple that cash back. Triple that cash back. You heard right. Hosford's is going to triple that never-ending cash back now with 3 big ways to save. 1. Get low monthly and weekly payments and no payment until February 2023. 2. Get a chance to win absolutely free groceries for 1 year. 3. Triple that never-ending cashback at Hosford's Furniture and Appliances in Ashley Furniture Home Store for even more groceries. Triple that cashback today at Hosford. Triple the savings. Triple the free groceries. Triple the extraordinary. Triple that never-ending cashback today. See store for details.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Hey guys, welcome back to Island T right here on WINNMedia SKN. It is still Monday, December 19th, and we are moving along smoothly. So guess what, guys? It's tea time. Voice saying all the way back there, guys. Please forgive me. And about another couple of days. By Christmas Day, I'm gonna be 100% again. But the late nights, having some late nights, guys. I ain't getting a chance to really get in my full 8 hours or full 6 hours lately. It's taking a toll. I want y'all to pray for me, all right, as I do the same for you. But as I said, it's tea time, and what would be a show without talking about some political corruption? What would be a show without talking about some political corruption? And it has been happening in the European Union. So this is from WINNmediaSKN.com. You guys be sure to check that out for your daily dose of news. And the headline reads, "More questions than answers as the European Union corruption scandal unfolds." Dum dum dum. It says no one answers the door or the phone at the offices of the two campaign groups linked to an cash for favors corruption scandal at the European Union's Parliament, allegedly involving Qatar. No light is visible inside. But they shut down, close for business. No Peace Without Justice, a pro-human rights and democracy organization, and Fight Impunity, which seeks to bring rights abusers to book, share the same address on prime real estate in the governmental quarter of the Belgian capital. You hear that? The governmental quarter of the capital. So this idea of having an area where all the government offices and adjoining services, etc., is located, actually, like, it isn't a foreign idea. Wow. Okay. Well, perhaps you could make in time. Yeah. As I continue, the heads of the two organizations are among 4 people charged since December 9th with corruption, participation in a criminal group, and money laundering. That's a good little mix there. Corruption, participation in a criminal group, and money laundering. So that's a good combination of crimes. Prosecutors suspect certain European lawmakers and aides were paid large sums of money or offered substantial gifts to influence Parliament's decisions. The groups themselves do not seem to be under suspicion. Okay, Qatar rejects allegations that it's involved. The Gulf country that hosted the Football World Cup has gone to considerable trouble to boost its public image and defend itself against extensive criticism in the West over its human rights record. The lawyer for Fight Impunity, President Pier Antonio Panzeri, is not talking. He declined to comment about his client's role in the affair that has shaken the European Parliament and halted the Assembly's work on Qatar. On Qatar-related files. Interesting. The Secretary General of the other group has left jail but must wear an electronic monitoring bracelet. On its Italian website, after he stepped down, the group praised his work, saying it hopes the ongoing investigation will demonstrate the correctness of his actions. Charged along with them are Eva Kaili, who was removed as an EU Parliament Vice President after the charges were laid, and her partner, Francesco Giorgi, a parliamentary assistant. Pictures they've posted on social media project the image of an attractive and ambitious Mediterranean jet-set couple. Following months of investigations, police have so far launched more than 20 raids, mostly in Belgium, but also in Italy. Hundreds of thousands of euros have been found in Brussels, at an apartment, and in a suitcase at a hotel not far from the parliament. Mobile phones, computer equipment, and the data of 10 parliamentary assistants were seized. Taking to Twitter, Belgian Justice Minister Vincent van Quickenborn described what he calls a Qatargate investigation as a game changer. It was achieved, he said, partly thanks to years of work by state security, the country's intelligence agency. Wow, this thing running deep by. But just for those of you who feel like there might be, much to do about nothing, the plot actually thickens. According to what Italian newspaper La Repubblica and Belgian daily Le Soir said, were transcripts of his December 10th statements to prosecutor, Georgia allegedly confessed to managing money on behalf of an organization led by Panzeri that dealt with Qatari and Moroccan representatives. He told prosecutors, "I did it all for the money, which I needed." He tried to protect his partner, Kali, a 44-year-old Greek former TV presenter with whom he has an infant daughter, asking that she be released from jail. Kali's lawyer has said she knew nothing about the money. And it continues and it continues and it continues. This thing might end up being a movie before it's all well and all said and done. But the idea of some of these groups that have such influence in these spaces, the European Union is a very powerful entity, right? It really does affect a lot of what happens worldwide, and decisions that are taken there can really either promote or hinder, countries even outside of the European Union. So, the idea of persons taking money, whatever. Let me ask you all a question. This is one thing that I've heard on several occasions, where we look at persons who are in these influential positions, recognizing that the decisions they make affect a lot of people, and so people may try to in turn influence the decisions that are taken. And one would believe that the influence is to ensure that the decisions made are favorable to them. And one of the best ways to do that, from what we've seen, or one of the more popular ways, is to bribery, give enough money in one way or another, whether it's kickbacks, straight up cash, whatever it is. It's about giving some sort of money in return for the influence to go in their favor. But sometimes I talk to people about these things. I hear people commenting on these things, and there seems to be an understanding of the behavior, meaning people would say things like, I was going to take the money too. What do you want me to do? Or people would say things like, that salary that they're working for ain't what all the work they're doing. They got to get the money. They got to get more money somehow. Or they should get paid more. Then they wouldn't have to. They wouldn't have to do these things. And I think, to be honest, I think I admire that type of honesty when people come out and say, "Hey, if it was me, I would have taken the money too." But you can't really trust the decisions of the institution, whether it is something like the EU, something like local government, if there's these types of things at play. As a matter of fact, I would have heard a conversation when I was very young about a politician that allegedly had some money that they were giving out. They had some money that they were alleged to have stolen. Yes. And the response from somebody that I heard was, well, hey, nothing. I said, does he steal 5 million? No. Actually, it was the other way around. Allegedly, the politician, when asked about the situation, did not deny it, but said, well, if I steal $5 million, ain't no worries because I give 2 to my community. And people jump up and scream and supported it and was all about it and say, hey, guess what? You want when he done with politics and can't get a job now because he are blacklisted and prospects are less now. That he just can't pay his bills, he can't pay for his house, he can't pay for his care, he can't send his children to school. What do you want the man to do? So it almost feels like there's a segment of society that almost condones certain level of corruption. And even so, maybe the reason for that is because there's an admittance that, hey, if I was in that position, I'd probably do the same thing too. Problem is that we can't then trust the institutions, whether it's government, whether it is some other type of group, non-profit. We can't trust them. But how do we navigate that? I think, like I said, that we cannot put the trust in people. I think a lot of times we talk about people and the perceived righteousness of individuals, and we put our trust in the individual instead of creating systems that are strong and can combat these obvious problems that we have. But we have someone trying to join the conversation. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How about you?
Oh, so far so good. It could be worse. Season greetings to you and your family. And it's an interesting topic that you're on this morning. Mm-hmm. And it's about the human element. And I agree with you 100% that one of the things that I sided heavily with our new AG, Gat, is that he is willing to hold the bull by the hand and put the mechanism in place. Not that he will not prevent, but he will kind of what you call deter. And people who try will know and will understand that there are consequences of their action. And they will not look at people in the past who have achieved great wealth by dabbling in the public affairs and public purse. And so that's one of the main reasons why I support him, because I like change, but changes must come by putting regulation in place to protect the people, because those people are by the people and for the people. And if you are for the people, you don't steal from the people. And one must take into consideration your minimum wage that you have in your country versus the salary you receive versus when anything is paid from the employer or the employee the employee always feel the squeeze. A man who makes $300 a week have to pay similar percentage of the man who make $3,000 per month or per week, if you like. If you gather the quantity, but the percentage is basically the same. In the store, the VAT, 17%, he have to cover that too. So the thing is that if you steal from him because you want more and you're getting more, you're really killing him. He's supposed to be your brother. She's supposed to be your sister, but at the same time, you still can't consider yourself to be satisfied with what you make from him. You still have to take more. But you won't stand the man who meeting somebody up in the alley and rob them. Because you're robbing him high day like you're stealing from him. And you're making condition more difficult for him. When you should be taking the salary that you have, live within your means, and try to help up the fellow man that you have. And so I have no sympathy for those who try to steal from the public. Because the public are squanting, and they give you an opportunity to serve, to be servant, and instead of that you become master and control, and all hands up to God. Whoever he catch, some will get away and some will not get caught. But whatever mechanism he put in place, I for one will be very grateful. Because those who are taking from the public and meet you in the street and grin with you and pretend they're laughing at you. So something needs to go in place to protect the people. Thank you very much for holding up so much of your time, but your information is interesting, and I like the time of which you speak. We are ending a year, and we're going into a new year, and we need to have changes in the new beginning. If not, we're going to destroy each other as a set of fools. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Season greetings to you and your family.
All right, man, appreciate it. Thank you so much for your contribution. And also for the season's greetings to you too and your friends and your family. But yeah, I think one of the obvious responses to these types of situations is legislative, right? And I think the legislation is important. But, we have another call before I continue. Let's see what this caller has to say. Good morning, caller. You're live on ILNT. What's up?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Morning. I'm doing fine. How are you?
And I am giving God thanks for life,
Nice.
Yes, man. No matter how it comes, your life. I just say, while there is life, there is hope.
Indeed.
But just say hope before it make the heart sick. So, now, I have been listening to you. I have contended this question more than once, and I think it has now become the expectation of many of our people that elected representatives must take where they feed. That's how they see it,
Is it that?
They would not,
Is it?
Yeah.
No. Well.
It's an expectation.
Yeah, an expectation. But does the expectation come because they see it as something that is ingrained into the culture and the system that exists? Yeah. So not necessarily like, hey, it's so not necessarily even just one person or two persons being.
No.
Right. They see it as part of the system. Right.
It would have stopped.
Right.
This thing didn't just start, all this excitement. I recall when I was talking about the rapid accumulation of wealth and this heavy investment in real estate, I challenged the person, the politician on the radio. Mm-hmm. I said, knowing your salary, which is in the budget, in the estimates, and the perks are also in there.
Yeah, and the allowances.
Some of them, they don't even use domestic service, all of that,
Yeah, the allowances, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Plus, they make sure they travel.
Per diem.
Traveling in just for work,
Per diem.
Yeah. Traveling, don't let anybody fool you. Traveling not for work. Especially now everybody got Zoom. Don't let anybody fool you. And so this person, a big supporter, said, You think I don't want to call the politician name. You think I want him to like Dr. Simmons? When he leave, he must go get injection. I said, what is wrong with going back to your occupation? Person said, no. And so we have stood by and watched it. I mean, who don't own apartment, own whole block. And the one said to me, well, I just get loan. I said to myself, but this bank don't volunteer. You go down there, you got one little piece of thing. You got these $100,000 worth of loans in so many banks, and it doesn't raise an alarm. So all we have settled for the little drop-ins. Well, I get a house. So I get a house, they must get houses. So when we hear this condemnation and so, stupid it. Even what the age is saying, the age cannot stop it.
So the question is though, how do we combat that type of that type of culture that you speak of? What do you think would be the best course of action, if not to totally eradicate it, to at least limit it or deter it in some way?
We all have to reach a point where we see it as wrong, and that it does not depend on the personality. It isn't that Sylvian type and Azem ain't he, because Azem is my friend. So that it has to, yes, we just teach children different virtues in school and so. We got to they teach virtues in the primary school, but by the time they reach high school, the children see differently.
No, but
in the homes, virtues got to be taught.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is, if persons see something as wrong, I don't think that necessarily necessarily serves as a huge deterrent for people, doing that. In other words, I think if somebody wants to do something that is wrong, they're not studying about everybody else think it wrong. They just recognize that means that I shouldn't get caught if there's any consequences to that.
Yes, so that's why I said the age can't help unless he's able. You pass the law or take the integrity in public life, which is being pushed further and further back. By the time they bring it, man, everybody done millionaire in less than a year. Now, if you have the law and you don't have the backup to implement it, and even because you still, now let us say he tries his best, because he means well. Anytime he decides to say thing one, just one, or he pick on my representative, and all of them don't do it. This is how we rationalize crime. There's got to be an honest understanding that it is wrong, no matter who does it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, and this is one of my qualms with this type of approach, the legislative approach. And it's not a question of condemning one set and absolving one set, or trying to. What my fear is that we have a tendency, or we see a tendency to weaponize legislation.
That's what I'm talking about.
No. What I'm saying is, sometimes somebody might say, well, you went after this person, but you went after this person, and you just start. So why I decide to start here and that kind of thing. And I believe, yes, that is a reality. And so, yes, some people might be saying that in a way to try and undermine the process, but
and intimidate the person who wants to enforce the law.
Right, but I also believe that if with the legislation, like I said, there's a tendency by governments. This isn't anything to do with like just us here, but historically there's this thing where we're able to weaponize legislation to attack persons based on whatever political differences, to undermine them, to embarrass people, to do all these kind of things. So that's why I was very concerned when I heard certain types of rhetoric coming from the AG initially, which comments that he would have taken back and cleared up, right? So that is my concern when we push legislation as the main way of approach of combating these things, because what ends up happening is generally this legislation gets weaponized, and the targets of that generally seem to be based on persons who are anti whoever it is in a position to wield that power.
And then the trouble is, you see our people used to just beg and give and pay for vote and wouldn't leave the politicians to live their life alone. That become part of the problem. People see, they're like the Robin Hood thing, right? Like the 5 million you talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as long as we get our share. I don't care what you do, as long as we get our share. So we pass on this mentality to our children. We have a whole lot of things to undo, A whole lot of things, a whole set of re-education has to take place in this country. Because everybody declares themselves righteous. The hands clean when they're out, the hands dirty when they're in, and the cycle continues.
Yeah, this is why
I wish they aid you well. But I wish him well, because the truth is, he doesn't have that much power. I mean, he has legally, but in terms of the party system, he outnumbered.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, and that's why I don't want. That's why I didn't.
I wish him well. I tell you, I wish him well.
Yeah, I understand.
And our politicians, maybe they think they don't take us seriously because we don't take what they're doing seriously either. I mean, blatant in front of you, blatant, The other day, I was Trinidad or some other country. Some politician, I think he went to prison, and we go say, "Oh, it's for that," He ain't filed that he had this thing and so.
Yeah.
And we just say, well, what do you demand that for? Our morals are very, very low in this country. Sorry to say so. Very, very low. Because it has taken years to erode it.
Right.
What people like me and maybe your parents or your grandparents thought was wrong is now convenient. And people looking to see what Azem do. Well, if Azem do it, I could do it too. But when does that become right?
And
so you really
but that was the point I was making. The idea of right and wrong, I think, is
that don't change now.
Yeah, and
is how do I benefit?
And even if it's identified that I am that XYZ is wrong, how does that affect my decision making process when I am either struggling, or even if I'm not struggling, I am not where I would want to see myself. And so people are open to
follow suit.
I'm just open to doing things that are outside of their moral code in order to achieve some other goal. So they
could easily justify it by pointing to somebody else.
Right. So there's a lot to navigate there. But thank you so much for your contribution.
Good morning, Jade. Say that too much?
I don't know what she do.
By the way, who won the football thing over the pasture?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the results of that particular.
I think they were getting 20,000.
I don't know what the
prize money was. But I was. Anybody won, I won. Tell you the truth, with the World Cup. I used to back France and Germany also.
Okay.
And then after the South American teams come in, I dumped them. So I was glad. Yesterday I was listening, I don't know, to a panel in Jamaica. And a number of the top coaches were saying what the prediction was. And most were saying, well, they're back in Argentina. But of course, they all were saying, well, France stood an equal chance of winning.
Yeah, it was a good competition.
But how was it, the behavior in Argentina? They killed one of the players one time when he lost.
I think it was when he
Argentina,
missed,
Colombia.
when he missed. I think that was Colombia. I think he had missed a penalty or something like that.
Yeah. So I was wondering what was the behavior like in the atmosphere in Argentina.
Well,
All right
from the
then.
videos I saw, it was elation. It was elation.
Pandemonium, no?
Yeah, but it was definitely a roller coaster of emotion because of the nature of the game. But yeah.
Anyway, we stand with Argentina. They in our area. All right
Yeah,
then.
man. All right, thank you. But yeah, guys, this is an issue that we've discussed. I feel like I'm generally in the minority with my particular approach and thinking. Yes, it needs people to put things in place, right? It takes the will sometime of one particular person or a small group of people to implement some of these things, but I don't like putting my trust in one person or their seemingly righteous crusades and them thing. That to me is a waste of energy. But good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Hey, good morning, Azem. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, man. I'm doing just like you, man.
Nice.
You gonna get over the little cold in your throat, you know, 'cause I got it too.
Oh, yeah, man. It ain't gonna last forever.
And I pole vault, you know about it, eh? And I feel good with you, Victor, man.
Yeah.
World Cup.
You watch the game?
No.
Oh, okay.
But over there, ball to ball, man to man, foot to foot.
Okay, got you.
Well, hear me saying we just now. Who wins, she win. and she said she was to back Germany and the other European country. Well, and since these what I call Latin American come in, well, she dropped them.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, who win? She ain't win. But I feel happy for Argentina. And that was what you call a man-to-man, minute-to-minute, boots-to-boot finishing. And everything went well. Nobody could say, this person cheat, and that person they foul the ball and nothing. It was plain so obvious that even who never watching could have seen.
Yeah.
And I feel good for Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Yeah.
And like me, you're a sportsman and I am one.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to sport, I'll put down anything else for that.
It's part of who we are as humans, man.
That's right. The guy there who you all were talking about in Colombia,
Mm-hmm.
he named Pablo Escobar. When he called the goal to score on his own team.
It was an own goal. Yes.
Right, yeah.
But Pablo
And
Escobar, you sure that's what he named? Pablo? Is one Pablo Escobar, you know?
Not the bad one.
Okay. He had a very famous name.
Yeah.
And I'm going to forget it again.
No, but because that's what you remember. It's because of the bad one named so popular. And
yeah, he was a junior. He was Pablo Escobar's son.
well, most likely.
Yeah, he was a junior, yeah.
And you
Thanks,
know what
Kevon.
happened to he couple days after that? Somebody take him out, you know.
Yeah.
I believe he's somebody who bet big money and they feel like, well, he sell out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you see when you're in competition with whether it's sing individual or club, you got to be so careful. Don't even trust your son and say you're gonna sell out the game or nothing. Because brother, as long as something come out your mouth in somebody else's ear, it is not a secret.
That is true.
Because if you tell me something that you did wrong, and you say, well, boy, it's only culture when I tell you, so I safe. And you only happen to see a police in your area. You're watching him to see if he come into you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you're going to say, boy, I wonder if culture talk, boy. And you have all reason to be frightened and scared because you laid out. Once you know you didn't tell me or anybody anything, man, you don't got to watch your police. Because you know you ain't talk, and God ain't come in and come say what you say. So, a secret is only when you alone have it.
All right.
Anyway, all the best for the season here, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Same to you.
Yes, man. Enjoy everything, but You know we go. Overdo is a sin. Don't sleep too much.
Thank you.
Yeah, wait, bless up.
All right, bless. Yeah, but people take this sport serious, you know. Watch yourself. Yeah, I remember that story, hearing about that. Some years and years ago, but people take it real serious. But in terms of what we were saying, I was highlighting the fact that yes, we do need to see some changes in legislation, but the legislation has to be put in place not only with whatever the goal is in mind, after recognizing the issue that it's trying to address, but you also have to bear in mind how it is to be executed and to be used. Again, we see so many times where legislation is put in place and then it's weaponized against one group or another, and that is my issue with a lot of times when we hear talks about we need laws, and my response to those things are generally that we need institutions, not just laws. We need institutions that are empowered by the law to oversee and overlook people in position, activities of those people, etc. So just like how we have the police that is empowered by the law, I think that in situations where we're talking about political power, political positions, government positions, these types of things, we need specific institutions that are empowered to overlook it. Because then in that case, you're still coming back to the same issue. So even when the AG was here talking about the way in which the law is intended to, some of the laws that they're looking to implement are intended to be implemented and carried out. It still comes down to me too much to one or two particular people, which I think brings us back to the same issue, which is you can't really trust some people, and it always has to come back to people. But like I said, I think it has to go to a point where it's less individualistic, right? I think this may be a step in that direction. Who knows? But we have another call on the line. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Man, I agree with you all the way, but it's better to do something than nothing.
Oh no! This is not me criticizing the move. Eh? This is just me.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
I know you're not. I know you're not criticizing the move. You're just looking for areas where somebody who actually do something in a big way and regularly, and it fall on somebody who's smaller, you weaponize it to use to something else. Like, for instance, our traffic ticketing system have lost its sense of what it was really intended for. And
it's not just the letter of the law, but we also have to be mindful of the spirit of the law.
The spirit of the law. But if you use something and you have gone out of proportion, you make it beyond what it was supposed to do. Because police is to protect and to serve, and not to see if I could catch them to hammer them. And so for police, you need to build what you call a community, a reputation between
repertoire,
and the police. So they have that friendly gesture. A police should only in uniform and look at you, and you change your beat.
Right.
Or you change the motion of which you're going to just hit present, the uniform. But the thing is that if everything that you're looking for, soft target, move away from the purpose and the value that it was intended for. You're hoping to see how much ticket you could get, how much money you could take out of the pocket of the people. I mean, this to me sometimes you gone beyond what you're supposed to be doing.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example based on what you're saying. If if the police are doing a traffic, they're doing a sting operation, a traffic stop, right? Where they're hidden in a particular area, trying to catch people speeding, to ticket them, right? And a citizen goes a few meters up the road with a sign and says, "Slow down, you're driving too fast." And tell them that police are on the corner. You just go up and say, "Hey, you're driving. You might want to slow down. You're driving too fast. Be mindful of your speed as you go around the next corner." Both of them doing the same thing. Both of them doing the same job.
Well, supposedly prevention is better than cure, because to me, one of the easiest things to do, you could have, where you're taking 6 and 4 police to do something, you could have at least 3 police do it. You could put 1 police on the side of the road with a radio, and he could fire the gun on you and coming down the road. And when he do that, he radio to somebody else, stop car P21, 26. Speeding, and I have the evidence. You might not ticket him, you may ticket him, but most of the time when the police put the gun on you, he's requested to show you the speed, how fast you were going.
Mm-hmm,
and because that will be part of the evidence in the court of law.
Right.
But the thing is that when one person pass 2-3 police on the road in different areas who could communicate between radios, I mean, for some reason or another, you will get some effect. The police might not be taking in, but just his presence, just seeing the uniform on the road, will do our help by slowing down. Right. You don't have to put 100 policemen on the road, 1 or 2 with radios that communicate between each other.
But what I'm saying is, generally, if someone is to do that, and I've seen it happen, the police frown on it. The police frown on you doing whatever necessary to ask to influence the speed of the oncoming traffic. They tend to frown on that. I've seen it all over, right? So it does seem as though, well, sometimes we really just want to catch people and give them ticket, as opposed to hey, ensuring that people slow down.
You got it. Ensuring that people slow down and observe the safety of others.
Right.
That's the whole purpose, Because do you know how much time a police officer could save? The court time, the lawyer's time, the prison time, depends on how somebody reacts and so on. They have a lot of option over here to the finger of how much they could change the operation. Some people you can't change. You have to use force on them. But they have it in the hand to make changes which will benefit the community. And so sometimes when you force people to hard, you force them to do things which is beyond and outside of the law. But if you treat them in a different way, treat them more humanly, speak to them like they are human. Because you know what? If you give somebody a smile, they give you back, and if they don't give you back, sometimes they can't because they don't have it. But most of the time, the way you greet somebody, it comes back to you. And so if police officers will do certain things, policing, rather than trying to fight with people who they're supposed to be serving, it will make a lot of difference. And I get the impression that is the direction that is going. Legislation are in place. We know that the police could do certain things, but at the same time, the law is there. But using these things, and like you come back to the same thing, and hoping that they do use these tools to politicize other people in a less position to prosecute them. But we know that we have them. We can't legislate everything into law, because there are some things that you could commit which is immoral, will not be illegal.
Well, let me push the issue a bit different, or down a different path, because this is something that I spoke to the AG with when he came and hung out with me, and I think this is more what I'm getting towards as well. like my concern is historically we have a way of weaponizing legislation like this, right? And not like this, but let's legislation in general. So for instance, like you said, let's use the ticket situation. A person could not like somebody and walk out. Well, I have the power to give them a ticket, and I will find something to give them a ticket about. So you're targeted, but you're targeted based on whatever preconceived, whatever prejudice. So I prejudge you, and I determine that I am going to find somewhere to penalize you, right? That I think that happens as well when we have in legislation, right? So what happens is we give power to certain individuals to make decisions, to prosecute, go after persons who are seen to do wrong or whatever. Sometimes that legislation gets weaponized, and you end up costing the government a lot of money and resources, but those decisions generally aren't questioned. So in a situation where you're going to tell me, hey, it's wrong for persons to steal the government's money. Let's just use that term plainly. I mean, for want of a better word, we'll use that word. But then there is not generally a penalty, or we don't look at persons who willfully waste the government's money. You understand? So we are so concerned with people enriching themselves, but we are much less concerned about people who waste the government's money. You understand where I'm coming from? Whether it is for what we call, sometimes we call them political witch hunts. Sometimes we call them like these type of things. We have, for instance, how much of these court cases, if lawyers were to go back and look at, say, well, you couldn't win this case here, so where you went?
Yes, but you see, here you have two things that are striking balance. You have the legal, you have the moral, and I will put in, you have acts that have committed without evidence to prosecute. Our prosecution on the street is different to that in the court of law. When you go before the court, you have to have evidence of the fact that these things happen. Now, even though that the things happen, can you prove it?
Right.
Now, there are lots of times that people say things, and because of how the law set up, they cannot afford to prove it. They know that it happened, but they cannot prove it.
Right.
And it's a fact that it happened. No, that is why one of the main reasons why police officers don't lose a lot of cases, because it's to prove the case. Yes, it happened, but can you prove it?
Mm-hmm.
And then that is why, in my mind, that the AG office should see lots of cases before they go before the court, so that he could vet them and say, hey, we have a case or we don't have a case, to save the government time. So the AG office, to me, the prosecution office, should be very involved with policing, because it's not everything you're going to catch, and you can't catch everything. Nobody can.
Right.
I don't care who you are.
But I'm saying, I'm speaking specifically to situations where it does seem as though sometimes persons are targeted for one reason or another, perhaps different in, maybe for instance they fall on a different side of the political spectrum, etc., etc. And you ain't on a case. But the real point is, one, in other words, I think there's a lot of situations where, because the cost is not borne by the persons who push the issue, that they have no qualms about pushing it once they achieve their ulterior goal of whether it is embarrassment, whether it is to put financial pressure, stress, or even to just sully people in like you said, in the court of public opinion. And that cost is borne by us, the taxpayers, when then they had no case.
Yes, heavy cost. And not only that, one of the things is that we must need to understand. whatever we do, it's going to come back to us. It's only a matter of time. So if you do that to someone, knowing that you have no case, waste the person's time, take them to the system, to the ringers, make them broke. Eventually, something going to happen to you similar. They're going to bring you down. It might not be a financial issue, but all of us will need help.
Well,
and sometimes
what I am saying is that there needs to be systems in place to not only examine not only to examine situations where people enrich themselves based on their positions within because of their influential position, but there also needs to be systems in place that examine people who waste taxpayers' money on their own personal biases and agendas, whether it is political or otherwise.
I remember a prime minister, and I can't remember if it was prime minister or premier in Antigua named Walter. I think he had one term in office. He started, as soon as he get in office, he started to use public equipment to do all kind of different things. I think he spent some time in jail, or something. But after him in the Caribbean, there was nothing else, nobody else but Pandey, I think, passed some legislation and he get trapped in it. But for some reason or another, we have to try our best to see how best we can keep our politicians clean, because they are helpless. These people had nothing, and when they go in office, they fall in. It's like putting a child in a candy store, They recognize the kind of power they have, and they could take out cookie as much as they want and eat as much as they want, and they think they get comfortable and they think they could get away with it.
Well, absolute power.
Watch them and see. They're so sorrowful, they're so lost. You could see they only a smile out, so they're not happy, they're not comfortable. They take in and they get in, but what they get in, they're still not comfortable with it. And they're sad, and eventually you see they end up look sick, something wrong with them, because your peace of mind mean more than the things that you possess.
Yeah. And again,
you have all these things, the little man who live in a shanty more happy than you. You drive a nice car, gasoline and everything, and you're clean and so, but you're full of what the boy refuse.
Well, in the words of the street poet, Mr. Biggie Smalls, more money, more problems.
Yes. What shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world
and lose his
own soul? A lot of people walking around and they're just zombies because they have things, but the things don't mean anything to them because they're unhappy, they're uncomfortable, because they know they're stealing from the poor people. When you steal from poor people, you're going to come back to you. Somebody say call karma. Somebody get rich, they build a house, big tree grow up in it. All kind of things happen. The children raise whatever they have purchased and make. And trust me, they're in trouble. And I don't know how you could reach out to them. But the other day they charge an attorney put some charges against an attorney for some illegal things and so on. And the attorney was making some kind of money. They don't need it. We don't need some of the things that we crave for. We don't need them. And we pretend that we need them. We don't need them because they just bring vexation to our soul and spirit. I'm sorry to give you going through all of these things with you, but we got to do something to help each other, because if not, we will be in serious trouble, because we need each other. And we don't want to bring each other down. We want each other to stand tall with each other rather than fighting each other. But we use all the mechanisms to help each other. That rather than helping each other, we use them to fight against each other.
Indeed. All right, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Happy Carnival and Merry Christmas to you and your family, man, and have fun.
All right, man. Thank you.
Okay, bro.
Yeah, I think a lot of us recognize that there is an issue, and we recognize also that it's not something that is unique to St. Kitts. It's not something unique to St. Kitts and Nevis. It's the nature of humans, right? And so that's why I keep saying, I think as much as we can empower institutions and systems, that is kind of where I want to put more of my trust, as opposed to putting my trust in any as good as a man or woman might be, right? And I think also that's who we want to have. We want to have people involved in politics and government and leadership, even outside of politics, who are righteous and have a strong moral code and moral conviction, right? And then, of course, those persons to have some sort of belief in what it is we believe in. So we want to share some of those values. And we want to have people who want the best for the whole as opposed to for themselves or for a small subset of people. I think these are all things that we desire and all things that we want. But at the same time, you can't just decide that, oh, I like this person and you get a good vibe off of them. And I like the way he or she does talk, and I like the way she does dress, and this thing. And those are the decisions that are going into who we put into the position, that into these positions where the decisions that they make, they are going to affect us all in sometimes some long lasting ways. That doesn't seem like sense to me, especially when we have evidence all over of like, hey, that don't work. So we need to empower people, systems and institutions by the law to keep the people who are placed in these positions in check. And the more and more again, I keep talking we have a lot of examples in history, but some of the most heinous actions undertaken by governments and leaders across the world were legal and sanctioned. They were well within the law. They were well within the law. When we look back now and we recognize, hey, this human rights abuse that was perpetrated by this government, it was legal. It was all legal, and that's the issue. We have a tendency as humans, and this supersedes whichever political system we're in. So it's not a matter that I think it's more likely in some political systems, maybe communism and so forth, or in dictatorships and dictatorial type political systems. But it don't matter. It is across the board. We have a way of weaponizing legislation. And what happens is that the legislation is put in place and it's weaponized against political opponents. It happens all the time. And the reason why we don't see the systems and institutions that I'm talking about coming to fore is because it then takes the power to exercise the laws out of the hands of those that are implementing the law in the first place. And so they can also be held accountable, either at that particular moment or in the future when they're no longer in power and protected by the office. So that is why we don't see the empowerment of systems and institutions. That's really what it is. And so my thing is that we, the people, we need to wise up and stop putting our faith in some of these people and acting like as if like, oh, there's a good man and him since he's smaller than his mother and his father. Yes, all that might be true and the person might be good and the person might, right? But that shouldn't be where we put our faith. I don't believe that is wise, and I believe that is a recipe to continually encourage even good people to do things that are not in the best interest of the whole. Because there's a recognition that they're less likely to have to pay for that. And again, I think a lot of times we keep looking, because the truth is that a lot of us, we like to pocket watch. We like to pocket watch. We like to watch people and say, oh, watch what they're getting and watch what they think, and you know where they're getting it from, and I don't. And yes, that doesn't mean that you should, that people aren't doing things outside of of the law to enrich themselves. That doesn't mean because I'm saying people pocket watch it and no. Two things can be true. So you could be a jealous pocket watching person, and the person you're watching could also be doing things outside of the law to enrich themselves. Both things can be true. But the truth is, we yesterday and we watch people pocket and whatever. And I think a lot of times, what we really need to be paying attention to is inefficiency and wastage of government money. I think some persons might go and enrich themselves or put themselves in a position or make decisions where they're able to personally enrich themselves, yes. But I think if we were to really stop and think about all the ways we've been spending money that we don't have to spend the money, we'll probably save a lot more than what it is these people putting in their pockets. And that goes from the head right down to the thing. Sometimes y'all will be surprised how much toilet paper some of these institutions use in a week. Some of these units. It's like, what going on here? What is y'all eating for lunch? Well, y'all use it. 2 people work in the unit, and y'all come in and asking for 4 and 5 big bags of toilet paper a month. 2 people working in the unit. Something wrong. Okay? Something wrong. Big up yourself one time, something. But guys, we're going to take a short break and be right back with more Island Tea right here on WINNMedia SKN as we jump into the last few minutes of the show. So stick and stay. Come right back for more Island Tea. See you in a little bit.
To make your holiday season a whole lot merrier and brighter. Simply shop at Ram Supermarket and Cash and Carry this December and enter to win free groceries for 1 year valued at $50,000. At Rams, you're always guaranteed better prices, better quality, and better service. Happy holidays from Rams, the good food people. 'Tis the season to shop with your good food people at Rams. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Hey guys, welcome back to Island Tea right here on WINNMedia SKN. We're jumping into the last few minutes of the show, guys. About 15 minutes left, and yeah, I have actually some updates. Well, an update about something that we discussed on the show as recently as Friday, right? As we spoke to our friends over there in Antigua. So things happening in Antigua. We are running a pool right now to see who can predict the date of Antigua's election. So guys, you let me know what your expected date is, and yeah, who knows, you might win yourself a shout out on Island Tea. Got me on the money. So let me know. But actually, what is happening is that the Prime Minister of Antigua, Gaston Brown, has announced that Parliament has been dissolved. Election in the year, you know. I have been doing this show now, what, less than 2 years, and I've already gone through 3 elections. 3 elections locally, and across the Caribbean, we done discuss how many? In the last week, we discussed 2. Last week, we discussed 2 elections. And here am I announcing another election right here. Oh, but before I even move into that, some persons want to get in on the conversation. So let's see what I have to say. I suspect it has to do with the last topic. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Yes, Azem, man, you're making me laugh, man. when you say 2 people working in a unit. and the amount of toilet paper. The amount of toilet paper them 2 people they use up in the space of a month or a week. Well, maybe they have another unit that you don't know, having more than 2 or 4 people.
Yeah, maybe got to be.
Yes, it got to be for sure because 2 people going to use up. Eh? No, they're using more toilet paper than a booby. When a booby dip down in the sea and he pick up a spot, and he rolls out the water and again and he fly off, he excrete, you know.
Oh?
Every time a booby go down and he go up in the air, he excrete.
Well, you have to make space for the new meal.
Exactly. But look, I have seen it all over the place, especially there is a big medical place in Miami. And each bathroom you go into, they don't have the little small roll toilet papers. They have the big commercial size. And in a matter of minutes you go back in there, you're surprised to see how quick that they reduce.
Yeah.
So, you know what a lot of people do? They just take them off and put them in the bag and carry them where they want.
I wasn't going to say that, you know, but you decide to come on the radio. You come on the radio, come make confusion. You see you? Okay.
That's reality. Lady caller before the last one. You say, you know, the bad thing that people do, they don't come back to haunt us, you know. So it pays, if you know you're doing something wrong, well then expect the consequence going to be severe. Once you know you're doing it and you go and you do it. But if you do it and you did not know, well, you have a chance to say, I didn't know. But anyway, I'm going to try and show that next time. And I'm sorry. But deliberately done it, the consequence don't be easy. Anyway, again, all the best you here.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay.
All right, man. Somebody's saying, good morning, Azem. The earlier convo, I'm opening that as long as we agree to define being human by the characteristics we define as undesirable, those characteristics will manifest. Well, I am saying I think that we are complex creatures who are capable of both things that we consider desirable and things we consider desirable. Characteristics. I believe, as a matter of fact, one of the reasons why so much of the undesirable comes out by people is a reluctance to admit that it exists. And so because there's a reluctance to admit that we have the capability to do the things that we see other humans do, that we run the risk of falling into similar practices. So I believe that we have to first, like for me, when I see people do things that I consider heinous, undesirable, bad, wrong, I recognize that I have the capability to do that, and by me recognizing that, I'm able to then deal with myself in a way to avoid that, or to try to avoid that, or to recognize when I may be on the path to doing things that I otherwise would not want to do. Right? So I don't know if it's a matter that, well, maybe perhaps how I said it is like, hey, humans are all bad and things. No. And that's not what I was getting at. I think that there are men who are women who are righteous, who end up in leadership positions. But I don't believe that we should depend on the goodness of people when we put them into these positions, particularly when there's a recognition that goodness does not necessarily play into the decision making of persons when we're putting them there in the first place. So when you ask people why when you vote for somebody, I think when we get down to the nitty gritty, it's not because we find them to be very trustworthy or good or whatever. Sometimes it's a matter of charisma. Sometimes we vote across party lines. Sometimes we vote to spite other people. Sometimes we didn't even know why we vote for people. So if we're not voting for them based on goodness, then I don't think it's wise to then just have them go in there and expect goodness because, well, yeah, especially if we recognize that there's a possibility of corruption because we've seen it so much times over and over again. So, we just need to recognize that the capability is there. And to safeguard against that, I think we need to put systems and institutions in place and empower them through the law to be able to guard against those things. So to look over these positions, particularly those who are in positions to really affect the direction of the country and the lives of the citizens. So anyway, I was talking about the fact that we were discussing when the Antigua election is going to be, and when people have different views on that. But yes, it has been announced. Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown has indicated Parliament has been dissolved ahead of the next general elections. There were early reports that the legislature had been prorogued. The dissolution effectively means there are now no members in the two houses of the legislature. Electors will vote for 17 members of the House of Representatives on the date to be announced by the Prime Minister. Got that in his back pocket. The announcement, of course, is expected immediately. So who knows when the election is going to be, but the announcement is expected soon. When your election was right around the corner, and we're going to see what the Prime Minister has in store. How long he gives before the election date. It seems as though there's been a trend of Prime Ministers giving very short notice. For his election, and I don't think that is gonna change in this particular case. So yeah, we look forward to the announcement. This idea of catching people with their pants down and so politically advantageous, but I don't think it's the best thing for the country. You guys know I'm one for fixed dates, for fixed date elections. But and of course you have to put things in place for certain circumstances, to deal with certain circumstances where the election can come before, etc., etc. But that's another long conversation for another day. But we have someone on the line. Good morning, caller. You're live on ILNT. What's up? Lost that caller. Feel free to call back for a few more minutes. Someone else. Okay, we got them. Good morning, caller. You're live on ILNT. What's up?
Yeah, blessed man.
Morning.
Yeah. Hey, Azem.
Yeah, man.
Bless and keeper. Yeah. I listened you and me good friend a while ago, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I them talk for a long time, you know. You hear me? No disrespect, right?
Yeah, man.
But here what? The simple thing what I them need to say openly. Abuse. You hear me?
Abuse.
Yeah, abuse. Why our security forces and government and all deal with here is abuse to the people of the little islands. Yeah. Here what? I want to give you a simple example right now.
Please.
Sean Duport, right, is in trouble right now. And here what Sean Duport is in trouble for. Something that was found within toothpaste shell seemed to be suspected to be vegetable material suspected to be cannabis. All right? Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Vegetable material suspected to be cannabis. Here what? We here speaking so highly of set up an cannabis industry. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if the cannabis where Sean Duport had created a drug bust, whatever that mean, me no know. Because Sean had cannabis, and that is suspected to that creates a drug bust, which is drugs, right? How come we are trying to set up a cannabis industry legally, in that we have set up a drugs industry? Not right, no? Azem,
Yeah, I listening to you.
it's right, no?
I listening to you. I think.
Yeah. If we are trying to set up a cannabis industry, which is drugs, we're trying to set up a drugs industry. How come that become legal? And Sean, it is illegal.
I got you. Well, I think part of it is that, as it stands, perhaps you're signaling that there's talks towards a shift in the way we look at certain things, and also though I believe that even in that case, there must be let me not say must be, but there should be ways in which things are done. So if things are done outside of outside of the way that it is done illegally, then there may be some cost to pay for that, right? So
I like down the road where I go, right? You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I like down the road where I go. So that means Sean Duport should have charged then maybe to lie to custom officers, not for cannabis, because cannabis now is what we are trying to set up to be an industry, so it should be something that is legal.
Well, I don't know what is legal from what is illegal right now. But whatever, but we can't say that we're trying to do something, it isn't done yet. But then you understand where I'm coming from? We only could go based on where we are. We understand where we're trying to go, but we can't go based on where we are not. So time will tell. And perhaps the argument that you're making is something that would spark more conversation and ensure that we get to where we want to go sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Mr. Duport was doing, right?
Well, hold on. I think if Mr. Duport is just saying, I think he should speak for himself. If he, I don't like the fact that someone is saying what he was doing or what he should do or what should happen. No. So either take his name out of the conversation and let's widen the conversation. I prefer to have him speak for himself.
Okay, beautiful, no problem. Good for that. All the guy was doing, right? Coming home for Christmas, and he actually come enjoy himself. So he try as best as possible to mask the little thing where he had, because he can't enjoy his Christmas like everybody else.
Allegedly, I don't know who had what or what they was coming for, but I understand what you're suggesting. So I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Bless. Let's see how me just get. Yeah, watch it. Me want to lock up here. Yeah, let me get lock up here. I'm telling you now. I want to enjoy my Christmas. I am back on seafood, so I ain't eat no seafood from my mother for the last 2 Christmases. So. Yeah, y'all ain't, no, please, be mindful. Be mindful. Play the disclaimer before the show. Come in after the disclaimer sometime. But I appreciate your contribution, Carl. I appreciate it. We're actually just about to wrap up now. My clock is telling me 9:59. I'm supposed to be out of here at 10 o'clock. So we're actually gonna wrap up. It's been a really cool conversation with you guys today. Nice start to the week. I'm hoping that you guys have a productive week, guys. I'm hoping that this week is you get through all you got to do. I know that we get me down to Christmas and it's like a deadline that exists there for you to get stuff done, whether it is to get last minute shopping, home improvements, cleaning, visiting. This is the time when you see people try to go out and visit the people. Sometimes you ain't talk to them for the whole year, but Christmas coming, you got to go past by your auntie down Newton Ground. Because everybody got auntie in Newton Ground, eh? Whether you know it or not, you have an auntie in Newton Ground. I contend that everybody in St. Kitts got family in Newton Ground. And you're not really from St. Kitts if you ain't got family in Newton Ground. You just might not know them, but they're there. But big up all the people in Newton Ground one time. And so for the rest of the week, I'm really wishing that you guys get through with what is it that you have to do? What is calling me? Oh, I don't know the unknown number. Interesting. But I'm really hoping that you guys get through what you guys have on your plates for the rest of the week. That you guys have a peaceful week. Tomorrow I'm going to come in here and I'm going to talk about something that's been on my mind, because I realize a lot of people dealing with a lot of heaviness around this time. And it really has caused me over the last few days to think a bit about how we interact with loved ones, particularly family members. Some of y'all out here holding some grudges that y'all need to let go. I'm telling y'all now, it ain't worth it. But we'll talk about it tomorrow. Because right now I gotta leave, I gotta go, I gotta disembark, I gotta disappear. Okay? And before I do that though, I wanna thank all of you who listened this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of what it is that we do here. And really do appreciate you guys taking the time out to call in, to talk on the chat. Go in, big up yourself. You were the fact checker this morning. Sending in all the facts for us here this morning. And really do appreciate you guys being a part of what it is that we're trying to build here. Whether you joined us on Facebook, YouTube, WINNmediaSKN.com, any of the digital media platforms, big up yourself. If you're listening on the radio, thank you so much for being a part of it as well. By the way, if you guys are walking into business places, into your office, or just going by your friend and they don't have Island Tea on, let them know that they're doing themselves a disservice, that you need to listen to some Island Tea, so put it on. You go into these Indian stores, they're playing all kind of music this morning. Why they're not playing Island Tea? Request it. If 2-3 of y'all request it, of course they're gonna put it on, because they recognize they're making a mistake with their life. Okay? So make sure you request Island Tea when you're walking around town. We're supposed to be hearing Island Tea all morning when we're moving around. Where you're supposed to put in your headphones to listen to Island Tea. Huh? Oh, Gawain is saying, have a great week, be positive and show some love. And I want to echo those sentiments. So, yes, guys, thank you so much for being a part of what it is that we do here. Appreciate it. But, of course, just a little reminder to learn from the losses of others. A little reminder to spend more time living your content than posting it. And, of course, just remember that you can't be everybody's cup of tea, because you is not a mug. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow.
The road Rotary Club of La Amiga's New Year's Charity Ball is back. The doors to this spectacular event will open at 11 p.m. on Saturday, December the 31st at the Marriott Resort Sabre Room. A night of packed entertainment will include DJ Tero, the Core Band, and Magic Fingers Ronnie Rascal. Tickets are just $275 EC and include sparkling wine and hors d'oeuvres.